If he leaves Green Bay, is Rodgers under the most pressure? Is it like chip or bust for him?
Easily. Yeah, and it's Tom Brady's fault because Tom Brady reset the bar. You know, once upon a time, toward the end of a guy's career, they could go and just have a little playoff success. You know, Joe Montana went to the AFC Championship game with the Chiefs. Oh, look at that. Montana's so great. It's not just Bill Walsh, right? And you could see other guys. Then Peyton Manning kind of raised the bar. Peyton Manning goes to the Broncos off an injury. And in 4 seasons, he goes to 2 Super Bowls and wins one at the very end. But when he was great, you know, they didn't have a defense. Then Tom Brady raised the bar again because Tom Brady chooses his team and wins the Super Bowl year 1 and goes through Aaron Rodgers to do it, who to my eye has always been a superior player, right? Now, here's the thing about Rodgers. Brady, a lot of these guys, they leave because they're getting older. You know, you have Steve Young in the wings. Okay, get rid of Montana. Peyton's coming off a neck injury. We just drafted Andrew Luck. All right, in Brady's case, they're moving on, and he don't want to commit the money and getting older, whatever.
Falling off.
He chooses his team. That's right. He chooses his team. But Aaron Rodgers has been to 2 NFC Championship games under Matt LaFleur, and the first year he's figuring it out. The second year he knows the system now. He just won MVP, 48 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Right? So they have a great team. Packers are loaded. Packers are one of, they don't have, without, you know, if you took all the quarterbacks off teams and looked at the rosters, Packers have one of the better rosters in the NFL. If you took every quarterback off every team, they're good on both sides of the ball. He's knocking on the Super Bowl door and he wants to go somewhere else and he gets to choose. Well, if he chooses where he goes, boy, he better win the Super Bowl. Tom Brady just did. The stakes are high. He'd be the quarterback under the most pressure in the NFL next year.
Max, you got it halfway right when you're talking about quarterbacks changing teams. But with Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers, we saw the juxtaposition of when an organization goes all in to support their quarterback versus when an organization doesn't. We saw that in the NFC Championship game play out. With Jason Light and Bruce Arians, they gave Tom Brady whatever he wanted, including going out and signing Antonio Brown. With Aaron Rodgers, what did the Packers organization do? They drafted his successor in the first round.
No, I'm saying if he's traded.
No,
if he's traded.
I understand that, and I'm getting to that point. If he's traded, the reason why Aaron Rodgers wants out of Green Bay is because he's not supported properly by the organization, which is why he wouldn't be under the most pressure. Everybody would understand it if Aaron Rodgers wanted to get out just because of how the Packers have tried to dictate to him. The previous drafts, after they drafted Jordan Love, the previous 8 drafts, all defensive guys, all guys that couldn't directly impact Aaron Rodgers' production on the offensive side. So I can understand why Aaron Rodgers would want out, which is why he's not going to be under the most pressure if he decides to shoot his way out of Green Bay. If he decides to leave, he's not under the most pressure. The quarterback that is under the most pressure is Matt Stafford. Because Matt Stafford is going to a team that was in the playoffs 3 of the last 4 years, a team that's had 43 wins over the last 4 seasons, and a team that decided to trade 2 future first-round draft picks because they didn't have a one this year in order to get rid of the guy that took them to the Super Bowl in 2018. So it's clearly Matt Stafford. He's the guy that's under the most
Well, you'd
pressure.
be right
He's joining a team that had the #1 defense last year and a team that has one of the most innovative offensive minds in all of the sport in Sean McVay. So it's got to be on Matt Stafford. The whole knock on his career, the whole story of his career has been he's not supported properly by the Detroit Lions. Well, guess what? That excuse is gone now for Matt Stafford.
You'd be right because I've argued Stafford, Rodgers doesn't get traded. If Rodgers forces a trade to the team he chooses, just like Brady did the year before, then it's Rodgers. At this moment, as things are now, it is Stafford because his whole legacy is on the line. Stafford's legacy is on the line, insofar as he has one, because we've always acknowledged that he has elite talent, but he's in a losing organization. And now we're going to see how much of that was Stafford and how much of that was circumstance. But that's one legacy on the line. But if Rodgers forces a trade to his chosen destination, it's a much bigger legacy on the line in the sense that, well, Brady had Belichick all those years. Mike McCarthy was a nice coach in his day. He won Belichick. The Packers were a well-run organization. They weren't the Patriots. If Rodgers had Brady's situation, he'd have all the rings. Then Brady gets traded. Chooses a team, signs with the Bucs. And the Bucs win year 1. Well, they were loaded, but they went through Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. Well, Rodgers' coach took the ball out of his hands. Okay, Rodgers, but now you choose where you're going. Ostensibly, he would choose a team with a great offense, right? I mean, he wants out. Now the pressure's on Rodgers. he was on a team knocking on the Super Bowl door, 2 13-win seasons, 2 NFC championship appearances at least, and they just drafted a quarterback. They're not spending any more draft picks on quarterbacks anytime soon. He was in a great situation to compete for a Super Bowl every year. He chose out. Brady did it. What are you going to do, Aaron Rodgers? It's a bigger legacy than Stafford's on the line if he forces a trade.
Max, I hear where you're coming from, but here's where I will disagree. If you're Aaron Rodgers and you've tried to get the organization to come around to doing what you feel like they need to do in order for you to take this team to the next level, at some point you're going to stop trying to run through that door and you're going to try to find another door to open. And I think that could be where Aaron Rodgers is getting to if the Packers don't make some serious concessions. So again, if it comes down to Aaron Rodgers trying to force his way out of town, I don't think anybody's going to hold it against Aaron Rodgers, even if he doesn't go somewhere and win a championship, because people will look at the Packers organization as malpractice for trading a guy coming off of an MVP season.
I have a thought experiment I'd like to do. Let's pretend Aaron Rodgers stays in Green Bay. Who's the biggest threat to the Bucs in the NFC?
The biggest threat to the Bucs in the NFC would be the Packers if Rodgers stays in Green Bay. Yeah. I mean, they were the biggest threat this year. The Packers had real chances to win that game, and part of it was on Rodgers. He had daylight to the end zone. He chose not to run the ball. And had he run the ball, you mean to tell me he gets to the 2 or the 1, they're not going to go for it on 4th? No. So, they've already seen, hey, he had 3 shots at the end of the first half. And, he made some decent throws, but also made throws that could have been a little better. And they didn't get anything done. Maybe that was on Coach's mind when he blundered to take the ball out of Rodgers' hands. But they had chances to win last year.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.